Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing the Himalaya version 2 or V2 from Fountain Pen Revolution. Now Fountain Pen Revolution is a brand I've reviewed a number of pens from before and done a couple of videos on, and I really like the pens. They're made in India and they're sold through a company based in the United States. And Kevin there sent me this pen to review because I had done a video on the Himalaya, the original version, and thought it'd be interesting to sort of show the two and why the version 2 I think is a really great upgrade. So a couple of basic features of the pen first. It's got this nice sort of light acrylic body. This is the purple version. You can see there's some of that swirling through the material. Basically flat top and flat bottom. Cap sort of there underneath the little end cap there. Clip is fairly springy, but you know, robust enough to actually work. Then you've got this center band there on the end of the cap, which I think is good because it prevents the material from cracking, which is just engraved with FPR. And that's it, which is Fountain Pen Revolution. The pen unscrews, let's see how many. So we've got one, just under 2 turns. The section's made of the same material, and it's got these nice smooth threads. There's no real step down, and then the body's basically cylindrical until a slight taper to the end there. The section does taper down, has a flare out. It's a comfortable section to hold. The section is actually about 10 millimeters in the middle point there, so it's nice and comfortable, and it has a number 6 size nib and what I believe is an ebonite feed, which is great. This is the Ultraflex nib, which is really great at this price point. So you can see that it's got the extended slit down the nib, and then it's got these sort of wings cut out of the side to allow the tines to sort of open up more freely. No flex nib is perfect, and at this price point you are not going to be getting a flex nib that is perfect or like a vintage flex, but you are getting something that gives a lot of nice character to your writing. This is a converter pen, and it comes with this converter. You can see I've been using this pen quite a lot. I really like it and running it out of ink. The converter is an upgrade from the converter that came on the original model, which actually let's just look at a couple of side-by-sides of this and why the pens are different. Okay, so the version 2 versus the version 1. You can see that the version 2 is just ever so slightly longer, and it doesn't have as pronounced a conical end. That the top of the cap is basically the same. The materials have different sorts of patterning, whereas this is that sort of more marbled patterning. This is sort of more swirled, and they're both screw to cap, but the biggest difference is what you'll see under the hood. So the sections, there's less pronounced flare on the end there, and you can see that the version 1 has a number 5 size nib, whereas the version 2 has a number 6 size nib. Or maybe it's a 5.5, I'm not exactly sure, but this is a number 6, so it's an upgrade to that nib size. Both of these have the flex nib options at that size and point. Okay, now if you look at the converters, so with the you get this sort of like push-pull converter on the original Himalaya, and then on the new model you do get like a twist converter, which I think is a nice little upgrade. So all that aside, what we need to do is see how this new model of the Himalaya writes. Then I've also got a regular fine nib, which I'm going to try in this pen as well, show you that. But I really think that what we'll do is, we'll do this writing sample, have a bit of a chat, I'll change the nibs, have a chat, and then talk about pros and cons with this pen. Firstly, let's just do size comparisons while we're here. So here is the Himalaya 2, just for the sake of the exercise. Here is the Himalaya original, and here is Alamy Safari. So you can see it's just a bit smaller than Alamy Safari. It's not a small pen by any stretch, but it is just slightly smaller than the Safari. And it's certainly, well, it's a little lighter, it's a little it just feels a slightly smaller pen, although it has I think a more preferred grip section in my personal opinion. The pen is 138 millimeters when it is capped. It's 126 when it's uncapped, so it's a decent sort of size. And it's 165 when it posts, and it does post nicely and it posts securely. And because the pen is so light in general, it doesn't throw the weight off too much. I just prefer to write with this unposted myself. So the grip section is about 10 millimeters there in the middle. The pen weighs 17 grams, 11 in the body, and 6 in the cap. Let's see how it writes. So first I'm just going to do some basic writing with it without flexing. So we have the fountain pen, Revolution. I can't remember if I said this, it's Clairefontaine paper. This is the Himalaya V2, and it has the FPR number 6 steel Ultraflex nib. The ink I have in this is one of my favorites. It is Atramentis Alexander Hamilton. Okay, so even from that writing, you can hear this is a relatively smooth nib. There's not a lot of feedback on it. It's certainly not scratchy. Side strokes are a little less smooth, but that's sort of to be expected with a flex nib. You can already feel as you're writing that it is soft, like without putting sort of pressure down, you can see, hopefully, maybe, that the tines do sort of open up relatively easily. You do have to take it fairly lightly. You push too hard, the feed will not keep up. It is an ebonite feed, but the flow on the feed will not keep up with sort of fast, heavy flex writing. That is a caveat at this price point. Reverse writing, absolutely fine. Very, very fine, a little bit scratchy, but perfectly doable. But that's not why we have this particular nib on the pen. We have this nib because it is a flex nib. So starting very, very gently, let's just see what happens. No pressure. And then it railroads if you press too hard, but the feed does catch up very quickly. And you can see there's sort of like fairly decent line variation there. This is not a wet noodle, this is not vintage flex, but you know, it's railroaded there. Sometimes it does sort of struggle to keep up a bit in that way, but that's moving quite fast, and I think if you take your time, it's railroading a bit. As I said, these are pens you do need to tinker with to get right. You do need to let the nib and feed be saturated. And also the ink level in this pen was quite low. So yeah, there are some ink starvation issues, but if you're not too aggressive with the pen, in fact now it's keeping up quite nicely, and that flex is like, it's not huge flex. Like, I haven't done anything, I didn't prime the feed or anything, I just let it sort itself out. You can see there it's keeping up relatively well, and you are getting, you know, quite a decent sort of difference in the line width. I'm going to change this now to the fine. The flex, I think, once it gets writing, once you've got, you know, everything saturated, and if you're not sort of too hard with it, flex writing isn't my strength, so there's probably an element of user error here as well. But you can see once it's sort of going, it does keep up rather nicely and gives you a nice amount of variation. So yes, let's change the nib out. So the way you change this nib out, and I'll just put a rubber glove on so I don't get ink everywhere, is it's basically just a pull and remove. There it is, it's out. And then I'll take the new one, the standard fine nib that I have here, and the feed, line them up, and then insert them into the pen. There is a way, the correct way. I'm just trying to find where that alignment is. There we go. Sorry, that was off camera. And there you have the standard fine nib on the Himalaya. I'm just going to prime the feed a little bit just to sort of get some ink down there. Okay, so here now we have the fine nib. I'll just do a very quick writing sample here. This is the fine steel nib. Now it is writing very wet. I have primed the feed obviously because I changed the nib and feed, but you can see actually that's very smooth. That's not fine at all. That's quite a broad fine, but it writes really well. I'm really impressed with just how smooth that nib is, but it is writing very wet. That will calm down obviously, but it is very smooth, and so nothing to complain about there at all. So as you can see, you've got two options here, FPR number 6 steel fine. So really there's, you know, depending on what nibs you get, there is a lot of options here with this pen. There are lots of different colors available. I think it's actually a really, really decent pen. Let's talk some pros and cons. Cons, well, if you get the Flex, there's a little bit of tinkering that's needed to be done. You do need to know how to write with it. You do need to know how to get to write with it. But when it does write, you can see there it performs really, really well. With the other nib options, and you do pay a little bit extra for the Flex nib, but you know, with the standard nib options, you get a really lovely writing pen. It's a nice light pen. It's robust. It's sturdy. It's well made, and it's really affordable. So this pen costs $35 US. As I said, plus extra for the different nib options. So it's affordable. It's, you know, and with those nib options that are available through FPR, you can get some really interesting writing experiences from a pen like this. What do I love? Well, I love the size of the pen and the shape of the pen. It's classic, it's standard, it's nothing flashy. It just is a really good size, good width, good feel in the hand. And it is nice and light, so you know, you get little hand fatigue and it does keep up. I've written with this pen without flexing because, as I said, I'm not a flex writer. Left-handed writers tend to find it a little bit trickier, perhaps. Oh, I do at least. But I've written a lot with it without the flex option, with that flex nib, and it's lovely to write with. It feels great in the hand. And at that price point, you know, I think they're worth trying out, and particularly if you want to try a few flex nibs. And there are different Fountain Pen Revolution models as well that you can get these flex nibs on. And so, you know, like I think the Darjeeling has that option. I've reviewed that. Really lovely pen. Once again, super, super affordable. So get out there and support Fountain Pen Revolution. They do great work, and yes, they're Indian made pens, but they're providing pens and nibs at affordable prices, just really spreading the love around. I think this is a good upgrade from the original Himalaya. I think the new converter, number 6 nib, all of that really, really lovely, and not too different a price point, really. So if you like these sorts of pens, if you're wanting to try a flex nib, I think these are a really, really great option. Hope you found this video on the Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya V2 to be interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at @the_offstage_me, or you can contact me on any of my videos here, or drop me an email which is listed down below. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or you'd like to support the channel by providing an item for review or sponsoring a review, please get in touch and let's see what we can do. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you later.